Hey YouTube, CountryBoyPrepper here. This is going to be another part in a series of videos that I'm doing talking about all the various components that have gone into my recent Dream AR-15 build. And I'm going to talk about the muzzle device in this video that I went with, and talk about some of the other things that I considered, and some of the pros and cons and some of the philosophy behind that decision. So for my rifle, what I decided to go with was the Yankee Hill Phantom 5C2 muzzle device that you see right here. And this is an excellent muzzle device. It's very good for the money that it cost. You can pick these up for about $40 generally. And when it comes to figuring out what kind of muzzle device you want to go with, you really need to consider what you're going to use the rifle for. What's the purpose and philosophy behind the rifle, and that should be what determines what muzzle device you go with. And it's kind of confusing really, because there's a lot of information out there about muzzle devices and muzzle devices that claim to do certain things, but basically what it boils down to is there are there's three different types of things that a muzzle device does. You have a flash hiding, which basically reduces flash signature. Then you have what you call a muzzle brake, and what that does is it reduces felt recoil impulse. And then you have compensator, which basically directs gas out the top, which helps with control muzzle rise. It compensates for the rise of the muzzle. So those are three distinct things that a muzzle device can do. And you know, you've got some that are very more geared towards the comp and brake side of the equation, and then you got some that are far more geared towards the flash suppression side of the equation. So you really need to figure out which is more important to you, and figure out, you know, be sure that what you're getting is going to do what you want it to do, and you need to figure out which is more important to you for the role that you're building your rifle for. Me personally, I tend to lean more towards the flash suppression side of the equation over the compensating and the brake side of the equation. The 223.556 round in the AR platform really doesn't have a significant or extreme amount of recoil to begin with. It is very controllable because of the size of the cartridge and the design of the rifle. I mean, to me, the flash suppression is the more important thing. So that's what I kind of lean towards for this type of rifle, for a go-to rifle, a go-to-war rifle, a self-defense rifle. That's what I kind of lean towards, because I think it's really important for, you know, if you're in a gunfight, for your flash signature to be as little as possible, so that you're harder to detect in a gunfight. So all that being said, I chose to go with this device. Now, let's talk about some various options that I considered. First of all, if you're leaning in that direction the same as me, and you feel like flash suppression should be your primary thing that you want out of a muzzle device, don't overlook the A2 birdcage flash hider. Just the standard mil-spec plain Jane A2 birdcage. It is an excellent muzzle device. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it, just having that. If I was building a budget build, hands down, that's definitely the one that I would go with. And I wouldn't feel bad about having it on this rifle either. Basically, this is very similar to that. It's slightly different. The main difference is it's got a little bit longer ports right here. It's got some more aggressive cuts in here and teeth on the end here. It basically looks cooler, but essentially this functions very similar to an A2 birdcage. And the main reason I went with this over an A2 birdcage is cosmetic, to be perfectly honest. You can pick up an A2 birdcage with a crush washer for 10 bucks right now. Then they're available. 10 bucks for a muzzle device. That's a bargain. And there's nothing wrong with that. It does an excellent job at flash suppression, and it also helps slightly with muzzle climb and recoil. Any muzzle device, generally speaking, is going to be better than no muzzle device, by the way. If you've got like a varmint rifle AR-15 or a hunting style AR-15 that has no muzzle device, the flash and the recoil is always going to be stronger than on that than if you put something on here. You know, even a muzzle brake is going to have less flash than no muzzle device at all. So so the A2 birdcage is an excellent choice, one that I think is often overlooked and one that I think you should definitely consider. There's nothing wrong with it. It's battle proven, our military uses it, and it's a good muzzle device. I tend to stay away from the, like I said, I tend to stay away from most of the muzzle brakes and comps. Like I said, I tend to stay more towards the flash hiding side of it, but there are some out there that try to do both things well, try to you know, reduce recoil and muzzle climb and flash all in the same device. And a lot of those options are very expensive, and a lot of them do a fair job at doing all three things fairly well, but they're not gonna do everything perfectly. It's going to be a compromise if you go with one of those devices, and there's a lot of them out there. One that I will mention real quick that is kind of new to the market that I am interested in trying at some point is the A2 Armament T3 muzzle device. It is one that is designed to mitigate recoil, muzzle rise, and flash all in one device, and it looks really good. I watched a video by Chaos 311 Clarity, I think is his channel name. I'll put a link for that video in the description below. He did a review on this device, and it's very reasonably priced. I mean, you can spend $150 on some of these muzzle devices real easily, and I mean, that's a lot to pay for a little bitty muzzle device, I think. This one that I'm talking about, the T3, is $75 in the standard configuration. They do make a titanium version, which is very interesting, and I believe that runs for about $125 if I remember right, if you can find it. And that cuts down on some of the weight, and it's still quite a bit cheaper than some of your other popular muzzle devices that are high-end muzzle devices. So if I was going to try something other than this, that's really the one currently that I'm looking at now. Now, all of this is subject to change. It seems like there's a new muzzle device coming out every week these days. Lots of new things coming out. A lot of bold claims being made about what these things can do. A lot of it, you know, it's hard to know whether it's really as good as I say or not, especially on the flash suppression part, because you know, when people are shooting it, if they're not shooting it in low light, it's hard to tell. Also, with the frame rates of cameras, sometimes the frame rates of cameras will actually miss the flash. And it'll look like there's no flash, but really there is in real life when you actually go to shoot it. So, you know, it's kind of tricky, but all I can say is A2 birdcage, you can't go wrong. Yankee Hill Phantom 5C2, you can't go wrong. Those are two excellent options that do a very good job at flash suppression, and those are my go-to options for now. I am looking at that other one. I will mention one other one. I think it's called the what is it, AAC 300 or something like that. I'll have to annotate it, but it's the design that has the three prongs that come out. That one is actually, from tests I've seen on YouTube, supposed to be the absolute best for flash suppression, but it has that distinctive harmonic ring after every shot, and honestly that just drives me crazy. I hate it. It's a personal thing. It may not bother you, but if you're wanting the ultimate in flash suppression, that is definitely the way to go. It completely eliminates flash on a 16-inch barrel, which is pretty amazing. So a couple other things to consider is barrel length. I'm using a mid-length gas system 16-inch barrel, and anytime you change the length of the barrel, either longer or shorter, you're going to change the equation. because basically what flash is unburnt powder burning out the end of your muzzle, creating that flash. So a shorter barrel is going to give you more of that, a longer barrel is going to give you less of that. So the whole equation can change, and there might be other options that are better depending on your barrel length. So anyway, I think that's about it. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope this was helpful to somebody out there. And if you don't mind, before you leave, smack that like button for me. I really appreciate it, and y'all have a great day.